Hello everyone and welcome back to Football Manager 2019 and a brand new experiment today where we're going to see what would happen if every team in Wales were given £1 billion. All of them have the same amount of money. It's a huge amount of money. There's not many teams in Wales, just the 12 in the Welsh Premier League or the JD Welsh Premier League. But they've each been given a huge sum of money in order to get their league really far up the competition rankings table. So you can see here the maximum that we can give a club is 1 billion. I've given them 950 million just because if it does happen to tick over the 1 billion mark, it actually becomes a minus number, and then we're in a whole different kind of experiment if we do that. But right now every single team in Wales has been given 950 million or £1 billion to spend on players. Most of them are still just semi-pro teams. You can see they spend about 60 to 150 quid on wages. They don't have any value in their club at all. And they also just don't have any reputation. If we go and look at Carnarvon Town, you can see in their finances, there's the money, but their transfer budget is just £5,000. Their wage budget is just £5,000 left. Semi-professional club and only a reputation of 1,450. Now a non-league Premier League, non-league English team is about 2,500, I think. So that's how low down they are at the moment. But every single one of these clubs has been given this cash to spend. You can see that the Welsh Premier League is currently ranked below the Montenegrin Second League and only just above the Faroese Premier League. So we've got quite some way to climb here from 118th to get to the top of these rankings. We don't know how they're going to spend the money. We don't know how far it'll go, or even if they can bring in proper players, because without decent reputation, it is very hard to sign these players. And you can see Aberystwyth here have 2 players on £200 a week, but the value is most valuable player is only worth £400. So this is unprecedented money in the Welsh Premier League. If we go and have a look at Wales, you'll see that I've also changed the economic factor and FA financial power of Wales to 20. This means that they have the most financial firepower going. It means they'll be able to invest in facilities, and hopefully it will reflect the new wealth of the Welsh teams. I'm hoping it means they will be able to bring in some high quality players. By adding all of this financial firepower together, hopefully it will allow them to really bring in at least some decent regens if they invest in youth facilities and training facilities, get some new stadiums on the go, but hopefully bring in some top quality players. So there's not really a lot else to look at here unless you want to look at the individual Welsh Premier League teams. So what we'll do now is I'm going to go 5 years into the future. We need to remember that the Welsh Premier League is 118th. We'll see which team has spent their money the best in terms of winning the domestic league and domestic competitions. And then we will see how they've managed to do in Europe, because the only way to increase this ranking is to win in Europe, get further in the competition, and that gives you the higher coefficient to get more European places and hopefully get into the Champions League. And it's worth remarking, they do have a really cool trophy here. That's 2 dragons hanging off the side of the cup. I love that. That's probably the best cup that I've seen, or certainly cup image in the game. So let's go forward 5 years in time and see how they're doing. While we do that, make sure you hit the like button if you're looking forward to this experiment. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. There are new experiments every week. And let me know in the comments if there's anything that you would like to see. But let's go forward 5 years and see how every club is doing. Well, we are now 5 years into the future, and you can see in the very first season it was TNS who went and won the Welsh Premier League, 6 points clear of Connah's Quay. The following year, TNS again ahead of Connah's Quay by about 6 points. Once more, 67 points the next time, 66 points. Barry actually came and won the league that time. Connah's Quay won it the year before. I completely missed that. So Connah's Quay did manage to win the league. TNS dropped down to second. And then Barry came and won the league. And interesting that they do the same split they do in Scotland. So you had Llandudno and Carmarthen finishing with more points than Llanelli and Aberystwyth, but down in the bottom section. And in the most recent season, Connah's Quay with another title. So it looks like TNS, Connah's Quay and Barry are the teams that we need to keep an eye out for. But interesting to note, we've got a champion here. I don't know if they've always had 4 European places or not. but you can see that they are now qualifying for the Euro Cup, which is quite interesting. And if we have a look here, they've gone from, I think it was 117th to 96. So now instead of being below the Montenegrin second league, they're actually above the Montenegrin first league. And for a time, they were up at 89th before dropping down to 96th place. So they have already made some substantial progress to get to this point. And if we have a look at the individual clubs and see how they've done with their seasons the last few years, starting with 2018-19, you can see TNS, or the New Saints, were in the Champions League qualifying rounds. They actually got past the Crusaders, who I think are from Gibraltar. No, the Danske Bank Premier League. Hang on, which league is that? I honestly don't know which league this is. If we have a look at the profile here, this is Northern Ireland. Right, I didn't even know that. But you can see that they beat the Crusaders in the first round, but then lost to Legia Warsaw in the second qualifying round, 4-0 on aggregate. That put them into the Europa League qualifying, but they actually managed to beat Spartaks, who they're not Spartak Moscow. They're from a Latvian league. This is a great thing about the Europa League. I have no idea what a lot of these smaller teams from the smaller leagues are called. But you can see they did manage to get past Spartaks, and then it was BAT that they played in the next round. But unfortunately, they lost on penalties. Or no, they won on penalties and did make it into the Europa League group stage in their first season. So their league form was really good at this point, but they did manage to make it into the Europa League group stage. Got a draw against Copenhagen. Lost 3-0 to Young Boys and 4-0 to Besiktas, and that was when the defeats really started to roll in. They did draw with Young Boys, but that would not have been enough. 2 points from 18 means that they were knocked out at the group stage, but that's really impressive they managed to get there, and that's what would have given them that big jump up into the 90s of the coefficient league rankings. But you can see they won the Nathaniel MG Cup final, the Welsh Cup as well. They made it all the way to the final. So they did actually do a domestic treble in that first season. In the second season as well, if we go down, you can see their Champions League qualifying campaign came to an end against Celtic, actually. 7-0 defeat there after beating Linfield. And then they had to play Kukariki in the third qualifying round here from the Serbian Super League, but were beaten 3-1 on aggregate there. It wasn't enough. They couldn't overturn the 2-0 defeat at home. A 1-1 draw there, despite playing 10 men, meant they were knocked out. Their league form, though, they did manage to win the league. They won the Nathaniel MG Cup final again and the Welsh Cup final, so they've done the double there. We'll just quickly look at the European competitions after that, because they didn't win the league following that, but they made it through against Sheriff in the next one, Sheriff Tiraspol, into the second qualifying round, but they then were beaten 3-2 on aggregate and played Alashkert in the Europa League third qualifying round. They got through on penalties there, but were beaten by Karabag, which meant that they were knocked out and didn't make it into yet another group, Europa League group stage. So they failed in that season, didn't qualify for Europe the next season, and then the latest season they did manage to make it into the Europa League qualifying rounds, but were knocked out in the second round. Now if we go back and have a look at Connors Key, who are the other team that have done reasonably well by winning the league in recent times, you can see they were beaten in the Europa League first round by Partizan Belgrade. The second season they did manage to get through against Trepka and Suduva, before then being beaten by FC Midtjylland in the second qualifying round. Next season they were beaten by FH in the first round from the Icelandic Premier League. The following year, not in Europe. And then in the most recent season, beat in the first round again. So they're not doing that brilliantly here. The other team that did manage to win the league, though, were Barry. So we'll just have a quick look at their European campaign as well. And if we start back here, we can see no European football in the first year. The second year, beaten in the preliminary round by Glentoran, another Northern Irish team. They were beaten again in the first round by Viitorul, who are from Romania. Next year, no European football, and then in the most recent season, they're actually in the Champions League qualifying rounds, did manage to beat Dudelange, who are from Luxembourg, and they beat them on penalties, which is not encouraging. They did score 6 straight penalties though, but then were beaten by Ludogorets in the Champions League second qualifying round. A 90th minute winner there for them. They did have the lead earlier, but then they lost away from home 1-0. In the Europa League qualifying rounds, won 4-0 against Sujeska. I honestly have never heard of half these teams. They're from Montenegro. 2-2 in the return leg, but then they were beaten 1-0 by Bate, home and away, to fall at the final hurdle and not make it into the group stage. And that's why they have fallen back a little bit. When we look at the Welsh Premier League's coefficient, they were as high as 89th, 91st, and then they dropped down to 96th after being all the way down here, 118th, 109th. They did make a huge jump, but they've dropped back again because they have just not managed to progress enough in those European competitions. They need 1 or 2 teams making it into the group stages of the Europa League if they're really, really going to progress. Now, if we have a look at the transfers in this league, going back to the first season, remember, most of the players were worth 200 quid. Now, the only team that actually went out and spent money in the first year were TNS. They went and signed players from Cardiff, Morecambe and Bangor. But this guy, 33.5k, Paul McKay, the player that they did sign, has he done anything great for them? He's played a lot of games, didn't play much in his first year, but a lot of games after that. He seems like he's okay. He's a centre-back. He's never going to set the world alight. But only 4 clubs actually spending money. That's our bar at the moment. But then the next year, TNS went out and spent 120k on Sean Hanbury. This man was probably worth as much of the rest of the league put together. They signed him from Carmarthen as well. So because every club in this league has money, the transfer fees will be inflated because they know they can get more money out of them. 120k, and he barely played for them over 3 years before being released. So not necessarily spending the money wisely, but we can see a few clubs now dipping into their pockets and signing players. Nothing spent the next year, essentially. Just players going to Cavan Ruids, who are, if we look at their finances, they are another team with an awful lot of cash. And the following year, we see 210k spent by TNS. They are the big spenders. They signed Mamadou Kone, which is a big signing actually. He used to play for Brighton, then Chesterfield, and now he's down at the TNS. He is doing extremely well, 2.77 or 7.22 rating there. Lots of other players brought in as well, and in the most recent season you can see Connors Key now starting to spend the cash. It is going to take a long time for these clubs to really dip into their pockets because they need their reputation to increase, but I think it is just about getting there. If we have a look at the Wales home screen, then we'll see that they do have the reputation of the Welsh Premier League is now 1.5 stars. We're just waiting for some of these clubs to really begin to raise their reputational rating, and you can see that Connors Key actually have now got that 1.5 star rating. We need some of these teams to get it up as well, and the better they do in Europe, the better they will start to do overall. Now, I just want to have a look at their under-21 squad, and if we sort them by value, we just want to see if they are starting to bring through any good young players, and it doesn't look like it at the moment. 900k, their best player there. In the senior squad, which is possibly where we're more likely to see good youngsters, there's not many. There's this guy here worth 2 million playing for Swansea. But otherwise, there are not many good regions coming through in Welsh football. So we've got a long way to go there. But we are starting to get there a little bit. This guy has got crazy good hair playing for Chelsea. But at the moment, we're still waiting for things to really kick off. So I think next time what we'll do is we'll go forward 10 years into the future. We'll really kick forward, see if they can progress from this 96th place competition reputation and start to get up with a few more European places further up those coefficients. Of course, the more European places they get, the more teams they have that could do well in Europe, that will do well in Europe, and then the quicker they rank up this table. So that's what we're looking for, really. We'll go 10 years ahead in the next part, so do drop a like on the video if you're looking forward to the rest of this experiment. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel, but until next time, see ya!